What do you say, everybody? It's time for Elephant in the Room. Jake Coker, Mick Gillispie. We're going to talk about Alabama spring practice 1 weekend, some of the battles that are going on, some of the strengths and weaknesses, and the fact that football is here in some way, shape, or form. We'll talk a little bit of basketball. Bama's going to try to win the SEC tournament, and why wouldn't they? And that'll be a pretty good show, I'd say. But who knows? Maybe we'll add something else to it. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, and let's get this party started with Jake Coker's official opening. There he is, the quarterback starting of the 2015 Alabama Crimson Tide National Championship team, the one, the only Jake Coker.
Man, I'm laughing. I know right before we jumped on this show, and I didn't want to mention it to you before because I think it's so damn funny. So before we hop on, I always kind of just check the headlines and what's going on, and I couldn't have asked for a better headline to pop up. As I'm looking, it says, read the FCC complaints about Nick Saban swearing on ESPN.
You guys get used to that?
Quote, profanity stuffed in my face, unquote.
Yeah, that used to be a big deal, man. People don't care as much anymore.
One of the best one-liners in one of the complaints is Nick Saban said the word shit twice, bitch once, and something else I can't remember.
Oh man. Was he like that in practice?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think he was putting $1 bills in the swear jar, and I think he got up to 500 by the end of the year.
Was he really? That'd be a crazy story. I'm sure you're joking, but
I know he had a swear jar at one point, but I think
really?
he was just I mean, why he would set himself up for that? I guess he just likes giving away money as a hobby.
I mean, what's the most money you ever saw him give away at a practice?
Oh, you talking about like a swear? I thought you were making like a Shane Gillis joke right there.
No, I mean like him cussing at practice.
No, I never. The swear jar came around after I was gone. Cussing was not a concern in 2015 for Coach Saban. Yeah, I think that's a new practice for him. Hey, well, it sounds like he got rid of it for game day.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
It's just pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Also seeing O.J. Howard, new addition at West Alabama.
Yeah, all your old teammates are over there now. West Alabama.
I know. We're going to have to go up there and make a visit. Man, that's going to be awesome. That is going to be all. That program is going to get so many eyeballs now, so much attention. I mean, that is a crazy ensemble of old Alabama guys. I hate to say old Alabama guys. We're all the same age.
Well, guys, yeah, but it's interesting though that those are the guys that Cochran is, going for on his coaching staff. And honestly, it's like an all-star coaching staff when you think about it.
Oh, he's done a great job. He knows. I mean, look, Coach Cochran's been in this long enough. He knows what he needs. I mean, I think this is really a dream of his to be able to go coach and bring in guys that he loved coaching. I can't imagine how much fun they're going to have. I mean, to be able to get together a bunch of guys you love and coach at a place where they're really appreciative to have you. I mean, that is going to be a blast, and there's going to be a lot of Alabama guys roll through there because of how much everybody loves Blake and OJ, Ronnie. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, there's more Bama guys there than Alabama.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Trying to see some other stuff I saw, but I saw where they revealed a little bit about what Coach Saban said in that last meeting, but it's all kind of softball questions. Uh, it's still hard to believe he's not around anymore.
Yeah, really. And that was a topic of a show I did on Bama Tailgate. What does Coach DeBoer need to ask Coach Saban, or what is it that Coach Saban did that Coach DeBoer needs to do to get the program back to the college football playoff and to be a championship team again, not just a contender, but a champion?
Man, I think it's program structure. Man, I think that's where Coach Saban really excels as a coach. I mean, look, the discipline on the field, or the coaching talent that he had and the focus that he had, the way that he coached and communicated with everybody was, I mean, Coach Saban's the best. You watch him on game day and you can see some of that,
Right.
I didn't think that he would be that transparently him, but he's gone all in. And, people are finally getting to see, I mean, there's a few FCC complaints, but I think overall he's made that show a lot better by being himself and really being transparent in the way he communicates, and that's the way he communicated with players. I mean, it was a little more intense, obviously, but you really get an idea of what he's like on that show. But just the structure of the program, which he's got, obviously he's got a lot of that Coach Saban has left. But really being the checks and balance guy and being involved and making sure that everybody's on the same page. I mean, that was what the structure that he brought all the players at Alabama when he was there was, I think, what set Alabama apart, because your day is scheduled. You've got support there, whether it's academics, whether it's nutrition, whether it's getting into the training room and getting your rehab done. You always had people. I don't know if I've ever seen that kind of organization ever in any line of business, where you've got guys checking on you and making sure you're good throughout the day, no matter what facet of your job is at Alabama. I mean, if you're playing in Alabama, then you're always getting checked up on. You're always doing what you're supposed to be doing, because everybody that works there is holding you accountable and keeping you on the same page. I don't think I've ever seen anybody at any level anywhere manage basically employees that way. I mean, it was such a, if you were doing the right things, then you were really going to benefit from being in that program.
Yeah, I mean, and the attention to detail to me is what the biggest difference between him and Shula was, because I was around back then.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the Georgia game when you guys played before Kirby was head coach, and telling Jody Davis, longtime Cubs catcher and biggest Georgia fan ever, I said, the difference is that Mark Richt forgot about the attention to detail. And I said, and I'll give you an example. You got this concrete stadium that needs to be pressure washed. And it's like a small detail, but you see, like, when you're looking around the stadium, there's just like black stuff on the side of the inside of the stadium. Just didn't look good. And with Saban, it was like down to the really small, minute details. And when Kirby took over at Georgia, like, they were that way because he learned from Nick Saban. But I wonder if it was like, well, you tell me about the details. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
Well, I mean, I guess my overall view of it is it didn't matter who you were within that building. I mean, he always talked about reaching your full potential as a player. I mean, that was obvious, and I think every coach thinks that way. They want to get their players to operate at maximal performance all the time. But I think if you were around him, his goal was to be, I mean, if it didn't matter, you're cleaning the locker room, you reach your full potential. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I mean, those guys did a hell of a job and really appreciate him. Didn't mean if you were power washing the stadium. If you were around him, then you wanted to do your best and reach your full potential and make him proud no matter what. And so just the way he communicated with everybody, you knew that your job was important and you needed to get it done at a high level. I think that, again, just like you said, the attention to detail and the way that he communicated with everybody and got everybody to really, really maximize their performance was unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that, kind of moving forward, the other thing is discipline. We've talked about that, I got a message from Judy here. He said he doesn't need to learn anything from him. He knows how to coach. Just quit talking about him. Judy, we're never going to quit talking about Coach Saban. He's the best.
Are we on a live show right now?
No, it's just a comment that I just read here. And it's like, look, I mean, you are compared to your predecessor. That's how life is, man. And that's just kind of part of what any business is. I mean, you're compared to the guys that were before and after you at quarterback. I'm compared to other hosts and broadcasters.
Yeah, I mean, shit. You see these on Instagram once every 3 months. They're always ranking the Saban era quarterbacks. I mean, you see it all the time. It's like,
where do they rank you at? Where do you come in?
You
know where you came in.
I don't want to talk about
it. Do you look at the list and think they got this wrong?
I mean,
no comment.
Hey man, it's all about I guess, how you jive with the team, how much you can be a leader when you're the quarterback at Alabama.
But everybody has their different way of winning the team over. And, you did it your own way, with just brute force on the football field, and a team that was led by defense and a running attack with Derrick Henry. You know what? I mean, the personality of that team, it was fun watching you guys come together from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of the year, because of just the physicality that you played with at quarterback. And then that really seemed to spur on the rest of the team. And the defensive guys say that.
Well, I always felt like, no matter how I performed, I felt like we'd have a chance, or I'd at least give the team a chance. Just honestly, if it was just pure toughness and will, I mean, I always felt like I had a chance to help the team win. And I think that's how the entire team thought. Didn't really care if it was pretty or not. You just line up and beat the hell out of whoever you're playing physically and hope it all works out and just never quit. I mean, that was it wasn't a beauty contest, that's for sure. And it was kind of like old school Alabama football. I mean, we were of course, I guess I say old school. It was like the teams that came before us, really. But I don't know. I think that team really set the tone in terms of just being a tough unit. It was a team that I think former players can look at and watch and appreciate. And that was one of my deals. I mean, first when you're playing or when you're doing anything, first it was you want to do something that your family and parents are proud of. I mean, they worked so hard to give me a good opportunity, and you want to do that. And then I guess after that, you think about the players that came before you, especially the guys that gave their all for Alabama. When they watch you play, you want them to know that you care about Alabama, the legacy they left, and you want to carry that on. And I think that former players can look back on that 2016 team and be proud of the product that was on the field, just based on pure effort and toughness alone.
Yeah, good point. Now, how do you take that, what you did, and translate it into this year's quarterback battle? We've had a week of practice. We feel like Ty Simpson's the leader in the clubhouse. I mean, he's the guy that was the backup quarterback. The offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, said he was the player that seemed to make the most improvement from practice 1 to practice 2, just in terms of understanding what they wanted him to do. You got Austin Mack, who's someone that played with Washington, their run through the Pac-12 and then into the college football playoff. He was the backup last year. And then Keelan Russell, who they all get big grins when they talk about him because of his talent and ability, but he doesn't really have any experience. But if you're looking at these three guys and you're remembering kind of what the Jake Coker way was, what do you say to him?
Well, I mean, I think you just got to go out. First off, I think you go out there with the mindset of, I'm doing my best and I'm going to try to make everybody else around me better, whether it's quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, O-line. You have that mindset. And I think with that mindset, you get a lot better yourself. You're not being selfish. You're doing your best to make the team better. And, you see what happens. And at the same time, if you are named the starter, I mean, all your teammates know. They look at you, they watch you interact, they see how you are with other quarterbacks, and first off, you want to set the right example, but at the same time, your team to a certain point only goes as far as they respect their teammates, and the quarterback's got to be a guy that they look at and say that's a team player, and we have respect for him, and so. The only way you gain, in my opinion, almost complete respect from your team is when they know that you don't give a shit about yourself. It's all about winning for the team, and you're playing for the guy next to him. So, I mean, complete unselfishness, making those guys around you better, even other quarterbacks. I think that's about the only way you go about it. I think that's the best way to relax and play your best.
Yeah.
You truly buy into that mentality.
Yeah, great point.
I mean, you worry about what the other guys are doing, and then you got too much on your mind.
What about the wide receivers? And let me tell you that the Alabama wide receiver room, as far as 1 week of spring practice, looks much improved from last year. And they had 6 guys transfer. And they went into the transfer portal and they got Isaiah Horton from Miami. He was one of the top returners for the Hurricanes, who had a really good season. Obviously, Ryan Williams, Hollywood, and Bernard are back. You got Jalen Hale from injury, who's a speedster.
I love Jalen Hale.
Yeah, he's back. And Derek Meadows and Latsier Brooks and I'm going to Cole Adams. I mean, you can go down, but it seems like that these guys are one of the best rooms. Even Jalen Mbakwe, Box over there. What's he going to do? It's going to be a tough job to get out on the field when you're talking about all this talent. But through 1 week of practice, everyone's talking about Latsier Brooks. Do you remember a freshman or a wide receiver that no one was really expecting to make an impact, and then you go to practice and all of a sudden, like a weekend, the team's going, man, this guy could be pretty good? And I got a feeling on who you're going to say, but take us through the early practices with this guy, and what did he do to impress you, if there was someone?
There was Robert Foster. For me, was a guy that he wasn't a freshman. Let's see.
Well, just use him. That's fine. Robert Foster.
Well, he wasn't an unknown product. Like, I remember when I got there, I was like, man, this guy is unbelievably talented. Fast, can get up, attack the ball. Just wasn't quite on the same page in terms of running the offense, routes and timing. And he was one that I felt like, he hadn't had his shot yet, but you wanted to see what happened when he got on the field. And, through the first 3 games, I remember it just seemed to start clicking for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be a absolute star here, and unfortunately that Ole Miss game, I can't remember. I think he broke his collarbone or something like that. But it's kind of crazy when you see guys, and then all of a sudden when they get on the field, it's like a different kind of animal comes out. When the pads are really hitting, you're alive. I mean, he was one of those guys that I thought I hated to see the way it all ended, but gosh, the amount of potential he had, and just his coming out party in 2015 in those first 3 games. Calvin Ridley obviously was one that you knew as soon as he stepped foot on campus, just a crisp route runner. Obviously, when he first stepped foot on campus, he didn't have the perfect timing or steps or measurements, whatever you would call it, on the routes, but I mean, he made his cuts. His cuts were so explosive. He came out of breaks. I mean, as soon as he got there, I was like, man, that is Amari 2.0. That's Coach 2.0. And, again, in terms of the true freshman, he was one of the best I've ever seen at receiver. And I've seen a few, but the full package with the route running and just ability to go get the ball, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. But how about any position in practice where, all of a sudden you start to kind of get the idea that, this is, nobody's really talking about somebody. And then all of a sudden everybody's talking about this somebody. Because that kind of feels like that too with Dijon Lee on the defensive side of the ball. Not necessarily that people weren't talking about him. I mean, he's a 5-star. But then when everybody saw him, they're like, man, this guy's like built to be a superstar. The long arms, the ability to run. There's just, like that something.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got doubt until, because everybody has seen at Alabama's, Florida State's, you've always seen guys that are highly recruited that look like Tarzan and just don't work out.
They play like Jane.
In some cases, just don't love it, and it's not meant for them to. They just don't have the work ethic or whatever you want to call it. Don't have the mentality. So you just never really know. But when those true freshmen show up with that seem like they smell blood in the water as a true freshman, you're like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, and have that belief, right off the bat. Because all these guys that come in are good. Physically, they're all good. It's the mentality that separates all these guys.
Well, it's 1 week of practice. It's pretty exciting. We're talking a lot about those 2 guys, but I mean, there's a lot to talk about too. The offensive line.
This receiver room, though, to me is ahead of last year's. I mean, and probably not even close. I mean, we had a few guys come back last year that had been around, but I didn't feel early on. I know, I don't know, probably 40 episodes ago when we started talking about last year's team prior to the year starting, the receiver room was to me, where I had the biggest fear. And, to me, Jalen, he didn't have the best year. I thought I know Jalen's got a lot of potential. I didn't think he reached his potential last year. But I also didn't think he had not necessarily the talent at receiver. I mean, that receiver room wasn't the Jerry Jeudy year, those type guys, but they just didn't have the experience. You know, I mean, no matter Ryan Williams is a player, but he's 17 and he's coming in there and taking, bulk of the receptions and making a lot of the plays early on.
Right.
I mean, Ryan Williams against Georgia, I know he's gotten a good bit of reps, but you can't tell me he knew exactly what he was doing every play on every rep.
Yeah, right.
Timing being right and everything else. I mean, he kind of got thrown in the fire early because of how talented he was.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bernard, he obviously had been with Caleb DeBoer. He was solid, but again, Jalen and Jeremy didn't have the time to really mesh until later on in the season. And so, I mean, he was. I felt like Jalen was kind of not on an island, but didn't have the help and the structure that a lot of us had earlier on at Alabama when Coach Saban was there.
Yeah,
that's again, a lot of those guys, all those guys were physically capable. It's just new system and a lot of youth.
Yeah, and look, it's not a slight at anybody either. I mean, DeBoer, I mean, you got to take up for the guy too. I mean, and we both do. Like, this is his first year. He was just trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It's a big program to take over.
Yeah.
And you're inherited players that don't necessarily fit exactly what you need them to do. And I felt like, as talented as we saw Milroe look against Georgia down the stretch, just wasn't the same player. And and that could be because of adjustments that other teams were making, to kind of expose some weaknesses there, or whatever it was. But and you're already hearing, hey, you know what? We're not going to show up late to workouts. We're not wearing jewelry in there anymore. And there's a balance. You don't have to be a hard ass on everybody, but you still have to demand respect, and there has to be discipline to be successful in anything, and that includes football. And it's finding that balance, where you really want to give the players a lot of freedom, but if they're not going to, do the things that they need to do to be successful, then some of that freedom gets taken away.
Yeah. Well, it's like we talked about on the last show. I mean, if I'm sending my son to a football program, I want that coach. I want to trust that he's a good guy, which we know Caleb DeBoer is a great guy, but I want him to be a dictator too. I mean,
yeah, right.
I want a guy that's going to just dominate and keep my kid on the straight and narrow. And it's just tough nowadays. It's a different era with different rules and a lot more leverage from the players. But hey, it is what it is. You gotta adjust. You gotta bob and weave a little bit.
Yep. Well, the last thing I want to talk about football wise, and I want to get into some basketball with you, because I know you're a huge basketball fan, and the tournament has started, the SEC tournament, which is going to be fun to watch those games. And then on top of that, Bama with the buys won't have to play till Friday. And so we'll get into that. And guys, I want to remind you that we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. I probably should have mentioned this before. And I got a couple good topics that I'm excited about telling you guys about. But let me tell you this, I'm even more excited. 50% off, deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip when using the code Crimson. That is our code, Crimson, at mybookie.ag. And we appreciate you guys for supporting us and mybookie.ag being our partner. All right. Injuries at spring camp open the door for other guys to get the practice, the reps. One of those, there's a few positions that Alabama is really thin at. Offensive line with, obviously Booker going to the NFL, and then Formby being kind of limited. Tight end is one of those positions. But inside linebacker is the one that really seems like it is a good opportunity for some guys to get to get first team reps, right? Deontay Lawson was injured in that Oklahoma game. We haven't seen him in a while. Justin Jefferson back for this season. And I'm guessing those two guys are going to be starters, but Nakai Hill-Green transferred from Colorado. I like him already. He says he models his game after the Ravens' great Ray Lewis. But this guy and Caden Jones, who's a second-year guy, they're like the two starting linebackers right now. That's a great opportunity for them. Do you remember kind of dealing with that too, where you saw guys that like, hey, because I know Saban didn't really like players missing, but he would let them miss for spring if they were coming back off of surgeries. And then it gives other players a chance. And honestly, you can get a lot of momentum as far as taking over a starting role when you have a big spring.
Man, it's I think that's one of the best things that could possibly happen for young guys. I mean, obviously, you hate to see. I mean, you never want that to be the case with a lot of our guys being hurt. But when you're in that one spot, because a guy's hurt, and you're in there with the older guys, and they expect you to get the calls right and put them in the right position, it's a whole new level of pressure. And I mean, you'll never get game-like pressure, but when you're a young guy and you're commanding the defense or offense, and you got those guys that have been there for years and they're trying to make their jump to the NFL, or I guess in this case now, make more NIL money, whatever it is that's driving them. They expect a lot out of you and expect you to get it right. Because I know sometimes when I'd get thrown in there when I was a younger guy, I mean, if I got it wrong, I knew I was hearing about it. I mean, we had one of our offensive linemen at Florida State. He was Brian Stork, and I'll never forget during a spring game, Jimbo put me in with the ones, and I mean, my snap count kept making him false start. I mean, I was rolling our snap count was blue 80, set hut, except, you blue 80, set hut, you just roll it off that second part of the cadence. And I'd always go blue 80, set hut, which is a huge no-no. Nobody does that, but I had never gone off that cadence before. And I thought Brian Stork jumped, he jumped, had 2 false starts on one drive. And I thought he was going to beat my ass in the huddle in front of the entire stadium. I mean, I'm 18, and he's, I mean, you ought to Google big old beard, about 300 pounds. I was like, yep, I'm going to get my ass whipped in here. He was threatening to do it, too. He was threatening to do it. So, I mean, it's a different kind of pressure when you're in there with an older, again, the older crowd who's started for multiple years. They're going to let you know it when you screw up. I mean, it's going to be pointed out, you're called out, and just that pressure of being right and getting better. It's nothing but good for you as a player.
Yeah. How do you deal with that? Especially trying to be quarterback when the offensive linemen are mad at you for, rookie mistakes. Probably not a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? I mean, it's one of those things in a football locker room. I mean, you screw up, you get yelled at. It's one of those things. Everybody has been there. They've taken their licks too, and honestly, it ends up making you closer as a team. As long as you're the guy that's trying to get it right and get better. I mean, if you're the guy that really doesn't care, then that's not going to go over well. But they see you get better and making moves in the right direction. It's one of those things that they ultimately respect. Brian Stork is a good friend of mine, and I love him to death even now. And it's just one of those things that happen on a football field.
Yeah, well, that's funny. Nick Saban spanked a quarterback one time on the sideline for making a mistake. And he was from St. Paul's, but it wasn't you.
Yep. Don't want to trade places either. I don't want to be the guy that gets spanked on the sideline.
No, I heard AJ talking about that on the McCready and Siskey podcast, and I thought I heard him on ESPN talking about it like a while ago, and I thought, man, it didn't handle that well, And then I heard him lately, and he was perfect, So I think he's got to that point now where he's just kind of letting his hair down, because I love him on that podcast.
He does a great job. I mean, that's just one of those things you got to laugh at. You got
to laugh at it.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is
what it is.
Yeah. So what? You won. You're part
yeah.
of the title teams, and you won 2 of them as starting quarterback. I mean, nobody can take it away from you. But it's like,
if you're the second team guy and you never start, I mean, that's a tough look. But when you won 2 national championships, been in the NFL a long time, I mean, you got to laugh at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's playing for Saban.
Oh yeah,
that's just part of playing for Saban. Well, this has been fun, guys. Again, take advantage of our promo code Crimson as you guys get set up for March Madness, and we're going to talk some March Madness. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip when using the code Crimson. MyBookie.ag. And we are proud to be brought to you by MyBookie.ag. All right. There's a people that feel like the conference tournaments aren't that big a deal. Nate Oates isn't one of those guys. And Alabama won't play till Friday. And they'll play 9:00 on Friday. And this is the toughest SEC field that I can ever remember. I mean, Florida is the 2 seed, Bama's the 3 seed, Tennessee the 4 seed, which makes Auburn the 1 seed. And Nate Oates, we're trying to win championships. We've won more championships in the SEC than anybody since I've been here. This is a championship we're trying to win. If we don't end up winning, then there will be some, like you said, some positives we'll try to sell the guys on. But that's not the goal. The goal is to go there, win 3 in a row, win a championship, and have ourselves playing on a run heading into the NCAA tournament. We're going to try to win it.
I know we've talked about
Alabama, though, baby. That is Alabama.
That's right. I mean, I know we talked about this before, but I can't remember what you said. Would you rather have the regular season title or the tournament title?
I'd take the regular season. You get a ring for it. You'd take the tournament. I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. That tournament is one of my favorite things. I mean, the tournament's just the NCAA tournament is just so wild. I mean, it's so you can get beat by a team that's not as good as you. I mean, it's just so crazy, and the odds are just not with you. So many of those teams are there. They shoot really well. I mean, if you just line up one night and they shoot 45% from 3, you're basically done, because I mean, those teams are pretty good in all aspects, but the ones that shoot are the ones that make me nervous.
Yeah.
But that SEC tournament to me is almost as important as, going to the Sweet 16, Final Four, all that. I mean, at one point, which I don't agree with now, at one point before we had gone to the Final Four, I was like, man, I'd rather win the SEC than go to the Final Four. Now, having seen us go to the Final Four and having as much fun watching us play and get to the Final Four, I don't think I'd make that statement ever again. But I'd love to see us get deep in the SEC or play Auburn again in the SEC championship. I mean, that would be so awesome.
Golly. That'd be fun.
Man, I was watching that game last Saturday, and I had my 1-year-old had just woken up from a nap, her afternoon nap, and man, when Mark Sears hit that game winner, man, I was tossing her up in the air. She was wondering what the hell was going on. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, the NCAA tournament is the best spectacle in sports to me, other than the World Cup soccer tournament. I think those two, to me, just because it's like teams from all over the world, like it's pretty cool that anybody can take a ball and kick it. I mean, I don't care how rich or how poor you are. Like, I've always been enamored by the World Cup because of that. But the NCAA basketball tournament is great. And when, when that bracket comes out 5:00 on Sunday, there's a lot of dollars that are going to be on the line. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm heading to Vegas on Wednesday, not by accident. But if you can't get against MyBookie.ag.
The worst part about being good now, though, is that when we lost to San Diego State in the Sweet 16, I mean, the air just my balloon was popped. All the air went out of the room. I mean, I was like, I can't even get excited about watching the rest of the tournament because I feel like we should be here.
Yeah.
And it's just such a letdown when your team that you know is good enough to make it deep gets beaten in the Sweet 16.
It is. It sucks. It sucks.
Because last year, I didn't think we'd make it as far as we did the year prior to the Sweet 16. I mean, we had a tough year at the end of the year, lost first round of the SEC tournament. I was like, I mean, I kind of lost belief, and then when you make it further than you expect to make it, man, I mean, every game we had, I was watching with people. It was always like a get together and a big deal,
Yeah, it's fun. And hopefully Bama, every round that you get through, right? It just makes it more fun to get, because then gives us a lot to talk about. But getting to the Final Four last year, and you look at it and you're like, Connecticut's going to be tough. It just is, right? All the teams that were left, I felt like that's the one team that I worried about because I just didn't think we had the firepower to beat them. I don't look at this tournament and think there's anyone that we can't beat. I just don't. Duke would be tough. Auburn was tough to beat them already on their court. Might have to beat them again. Could have to beat them 2 more times. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be crazy. That'd be awesome. The game Saturday, that was the one I was expecting, the first go round for the game of the century when we played them in Tuscaloosa.
Right.
Man, well, Chad Baker-Mazara, he's not afraid to sling a few elbows, is he?
Yeah, I saw Bruce Pearl. They were asking him about it, and it's like this guy's a wild card, man. I mean, he got kicked out of the game against Alabama. He got kicked out of their loss in the first round of the tournament last year, plays dirty. There was a time when they didn't mind it as much, the Larry Bird days, like Bird's down there trying to bang around with the Pistons, and he's got McHale and Parrish. And do you know these guys? You know anybody?
Yeah.
And it would be like, they used to beat Jordan's butt and it was terrible. Like, Jordan gets just clubbed, but it made him tough, It's just not played like that anymore. And particularly in college,
I'll be honest with you. I mean, like I'm not one that gets on the high horse watching these, because I appreciate those players to a certain degree. Like, I hated to see the elbow in the back of the head. I mean, obviously, but at the same time, I wasn't old enough to see the Pistons, Bulls, and all that. But that would have been a hell of a time to watch basketball. And I love the passion. I mean, a guy that's that into it, I mean, you want to watch when the players really care and it means something to them and they're going all out. And, I mean, while that's not an attractive part of the game per se, it does add to the meaning of that rivalry.
Yeah, good point, man. Yeah, and that's I saw those teams, the Lakers and the Celtics, and the Houston was great back then. The Knicks were great back then.
Yeah, I mean,
it was physical.
In order to be good, you got to play with a chip on your shoulder. You got to have something. You got to have a mean streak in you. You got to have that kind of just, I don't know, bullshit mentality, and you got to give it to the team you're playing. I mean, basketball is a little different because you're not supposed to be as physical, but I don't know, man. I appreciate that intensity.
Yeah, I do too. It's fun. All right, well, we'll be keeping an eye on that. You're coming in studio on Friday, so we'll be able to do a show that day as well. And we appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us here. And again, take advantage of our promo code Crimson with March Madness here 50% off deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip at mybookie.ag. Also, got to tell you guys about the Cover Crimson .com page, and I'm telling you, and I can't let the cat out of the bag, but I'm just telling you right now, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, you're gonna love it. So just know that we're working hard over there, and we got some fun stuff coming, and it's $25 off right now, the annual subscription. So be a part of that. And Clint Lamb always on there, breaking everything down, the roster changes, position groups, everything you want to know is there. I'm on there talking about stuff like participating in this year's Boozy Bee contest at the floor Bama. Did that on Sunday. I don't know if I came in last out of 10, but I was first in everyone's hearts. And I heard from a birdie that the mullet toss we might have some of our old buddies back from Alabama this year. So ready for that. You going to the mullet toss this year?
I got no choice. I gotta drop the hammer on your ass.
It might be time for me to start practicing. Nothing would be better in my life than for you to throw the shit out of one of those mullets and me to outthrow your throw. I don't even care. You could have the prettiest throw like you did last year. I mean, it really was just an amazing mullet. You almost hit the drone that was video. And it looked like the reason that you're known for throwing the deep ball. I threw more of a line drive, and you were a good 20 feet further than me, although I still crushed the rest of our friends in competition, including Jalen Milroe and Malachi Moore. Now, this year's it's a different year. It's a new year. And honestly, man, I feel like that I would love the challenge of beating another starting quarterback at Alabama and throwing the mullet.
I imagine, Ty's from Tennessee. Jalen just didn't have enough redneck in him. I don't know about Ty.
It was a little ridiculous to him, huh?
All right. When I saw Jalen reach into that ice chest with two fingers, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
If anybody stuck around for the end of the show, this is the best part of the entire show. He didn't have enough redneck in him.
The best part of shows when we run out of topics.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it was pretty funny, like, just this being there and watching Ryan Anderson, just like he's like the president, like he just works the crowd, he's taking pictures. A police officer came up and gave him a coin, like he's like kissing baby.
I think he got deputized that day.
I wish that I was more like him in his comfortability around people. I mean, like he's so comfortable.
Oh yeah. He hadn't met a stranger, that's for sure.
I outthrew him though,
especially in Baldwin County.
Let me see if I mean. Oh, look, here I found it. I was 126. Ryan was 110. Malachi was 97, and Milroe was 94.7.
There it is.
Coming up fast.
I knew you had an arm. I imagine Prime Mick Gillispie would have slung that thing.
Probably. The funny thing is that Prime Mick Gillispie and old man Mick Gillispie and middle-aged Mick Gillispie can't spell. It's like such a. I don't even know. This is overtime here, guys. So like I'm gonna pull up the Cover Crimson page because they told me to go ahead and just start putting up stuff that I'm doing on there. Like they said I could put up any topic I want. So we got all the football stuff, right? But no one has even responded yet to my Floor Bama events page. That's why I need you guys to sign up and get my back, please. Like,
please.
And my Grateful Dead posts. Like, come on, man. People, help me. There's got to be some deadheads in this audience. where you guys can jump in and comment.
I feel like deadheads usually let it be known pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right, here's the page right here. And this is my my Boozy Bee, Steve. So at least I didn't dress up like a bee. He dressed up like a bee.
Steve's a team player, man.
Look at my face there. That's when you ask me how to spell anything, and I'm just like, U-E-K. There came one point they were like, okay, the judge was like, please stop talking.
How many rounds you make it?
You automatically make it 5. The funny thing is, like, there was a teacher up there from Memphis, and she was out within, I think I might have had as many spelled words as her. Yeah, look at this. We actually have some Dead fan comments on here, at least people talking about it. Thanks, guys. You need to get on there and talk about how I had tickets for you, man.
It's amazing to me, just the amount of deadheads that you would never expect ever. And just by the eye test alone, you would never expect, Adam over here to have ridden in a van for a month, watching shows and consuming whatever the hell they consumed during that time period.
Well, acid. That was back then. Now I'm not. Listen, man. I mean this. Like, I'm not advocating drug use at all. Even though marijuana is legal now in Vegas and a lot of these other states, I'm not. But that's what they used to do.
Well, I mean, when we did the tailgate show at the Floor Bama, and you had the Dead playing, and like we had guys walk up, probably, I don't know, 65 or so, like, button down shirt and khakis, and they're talking about piling into a van. And
yeah. That was fun. That's like
I'm looking at him, I'm like, what?
Yeah. The guy handed me a mushroom. He was like, he's like, because and you guys, like, it's so funny that and the reason it's funny is because the show's supposed to be over, but we're just this riffing right here. We do the tailgate show from the Floor Bama when the team's on the road, which will be there, I'm sure, again this year. We love the place, and we record the show on Friday, and then it plays on radio Saturday, which we had the #1 show on game days. So boom, there we go. And I'm proud of that. We worked really hard for it, and you guys are a part of that. Our Cover Crimson audience is bleed over. I mean, we're kind of all in the same group here, but they connect all my equipment to the speakers in the room, and it takes a while to kind of tear everything down, send out. I got to send the show out before I leave. And so if you don't have the sound guy there, you just got to do something, right? You got to do something when the show's over. So I play music, and when we're at the Floor Bama, I popped a couple Dead songs on, and you're right, man. It was like people were just like coming out of everywhere, like,
I mean, just people from inside the venue.
They were.
I mean, that are playing bingo.
Yeah. God, that's so funny. Well, great show, man. Looking forward to hanging out with you in person.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah,
never know.
You never know. I'm trying to convert you. I mean, look, if you would have came to Vegas with me next week, your life would have changed for the better.
Yeah.
You'd have been a new guy. You'd stop getting that banker haircut. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'd probably be podcasting full time.
Yeah, when I get my short hair, my son's always like, "Oh, the good dad's back." You know what that means?
Little Jake doesn't hold back.
No. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Get in the comment section as always. We love all of you for being here and being part of the show and for hanging out with us. And some of you guys may be listening now on our podcasts, just the audio podcast, not just on YouTube. So we appreciate you guys as well. And know that we're always on YouTube, on the Cover Crimson YouTube channel, and on covercrimson.com. And that covercrimson.com is a place for deadheads that like Alabama football to converse. It's also a place for people that love the Floor Bama to converse. Hey, I know we're trying to get out of here, but they asked me to do a show on the Floor Bama radio station, the iHeart station. You want to do it with me? It'd be fun, man. Talking music, like a yacht rock show.
Yeah, it'd be like No Shoes Uncut.
we should do like a show together, like I'll do like the outlaw country and you do like the whatever the new stuff is. What's the new stuff? Like I'm sure you're like Chris Stapleton and
I've been on a Chris Stapleton kick lately.
Have you? Yeah. Toby, we both love Toby. But it'd be fun, man. Like once a month on there. Just kind of like I'm thinking like because I'd
be in on that.
Yeah, like in on that. It'd be fun, man. Like that when you're in there, that upstairs, like the main room, that's what the show should be called. Mick and Jake's main room, or Mick and Coker's main room, or Coker and Mick's main room, whatever. Doesn't matter. But we just talk about like any of you guys that went to Alabama, my main man, the late, great Wayne Mills, he got me into a lot of the old country, man, the David Allen Coes, the Hank Juniors, my dad listened to it, but I wasn't really a big outlaw country fan until I was at Harry's bar every Tuesday working. I had a job there working for Skoll. And I was like, man, I really liked it. And I knew it from my dad and my grandfather, but it wasn't really my thing. But, then, eventually it turned into me meeting Willie Nelson. I've told you guys I smoked marijuana on his bus with him in college. I'm going to admit that now. But I mean, look, I'm an old man. What are you going to do to me? Okay. But I mean, but seriously though, it turned into like an appreciation for some really great music, and they play that up there, but they also play a lot of the new stuff too. That could be our angle.
I'm in. You just let me know. Hey, yeah, being a DJ at the Floor Bama sounds pretty good.
Yeah. The Mick and Coker Outlaw Country Show. No, the Mick and Coker main room at the Floor Bama coming up.
Oh, I like that.
Mick and Coker's main room. Yeah, that's a good sounding show right there. You hear like because they don't sell bottles there. Can you hear the can cracking open, the Yingling can, the Miller Lite, the Modelo?
There'd be a lot of that going on.
Yeah, God, that'd be so much fun, man.
We have the natural sound.
Yeah, I mean that would be something fun to do in person too, man.
Oh yeah, no, I would enjoy doing that.
Yeah,
we dive into some of that for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to tell the guy dressed like the bee makes the decisions. All right, guys, look, the end of the show was not really. This is the kind of stuff we talk about when the thing goes off.
Yeah, overtime.
you got a little overtime today because I got a flat tire. I wasn't in a great mood, and then this guy comes on. I'm in a great mood again. So thank you, and thank you guys. But like, subscribe, thumbs up, get in the comments section. And again, we really, and I mean this, we really love you guys and appreciate everything that you bring to Cover Crimson. Check us out at covercrimson.com as well. And Roll Tide. We'll do it again on Friday. We're going to do it live.
Pre-game show.
Let's start live.